I can keep this? Thank you.
Okay, I think we're on the air, right? Are we live?
Yeah, are you all set?
I think so. Terry was up here. All right, well, so here we go. I'm going to call this meeting of the Nantucket Historic District Commission to order. It is 4:32 on Tuesday, May 28th. Present at today's meeting are John McLaughlin, Stephen Welch, Diane Coons, Val Oliver, TJ Watterson, and myself, Ray Poole. Kevin already knows this drill, but for the one of you in the audience,
And those at home.
our ratings have been really down. I have to say this just for the record. So if you plan to record any portion of tonight's meeting, let us know in advance. Thank you. And if you want to have a conversation with yourself, you have to go out in the hall. Okay. All right. So with that, first of all, John, do we need to have any modifications to tonight's agenda?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Number 7 on old business is coming up.
7, old business coming off.
Yes.
Old business, number 7,
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Schwab,
Right.
Fence.
Charles Schwab.
Yep.
This is his son, William.
That's it.
What
And
about
just, I will tell you, Lisa's down at the select board, so we're probably not gonna be hearing 19 or 20 either. Okay?
Okay.
Not select board.
ZBA.
Zoning board. ZBA, yeah.
Are you
That's
giving away her
today?
political aspirations?
No,
It's today?
you do a number 7?
never.
What is
Lisa.
ZBA is today?
It's off the agenda.
Okay, so
Public comments over.
Where is it? Downstairs.
fellow Commissioner Coombs,
Yes,
Madam,
yes,
a motion to.
motion.
Okay. Diane has made a motion to approve tonight's modified agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move right along to consent.
Make a motion to approve 1 through 7.
Do I have something on there?
No,
you don't.
No.
I do.
All right, so Val's off.
19 and 20.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5. So there we are. Val's recusing, and I'm sorry, who just made the motion?
I did.
Diane? Diane has made a motion, bless you, to
Question.
approve the consent agenda.
No, they're
All
on
those in
consent.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Consent.
And John, just for the record, 1 abstention, right? On consent.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. 4 in favor, 1 recusal, and 1 abstention. Okay. Straight on to signs. Hello, Kevin.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Number 1 is approved with comments.
The motion to approve. Who? Number 1 on the signs.
Number 1.
With SAB comments, correct?
Yeah, and that's number 2
You sound like an
also.
owl over there.
Ooh.
Motion.
The signs are. Okay, Diane has made a motion to approve item number 1 under signs with conditions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And was it the same true with number 2?
No, number 2 is to hold for further information.
Okay. Good with that, Diane?
Yep, I'll make a motion to hold number 2
Very
for
good.
further information.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 3 is approved as submitted.
Eternal beauty. Nice thing.
But you put me on hold.
That's approved?
That's approved.
Okay.
All
Make
right.
a motion.
You're on a roll.
Yeah.
Make a motion
Yeah.
to approve number 3.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
And number 4 is approved with comments.
So make a motion to approve number 4, blue flag development, with comments.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
What's blue flag development.
It's a contract.
Silly question.
Yeah.
You wanna know who the board is, right?
Yeah, who's the alternate on those?
So let's just say that it was Stephen. Is that okay with everyone?
Sure.
So the board was,
The only alternate here.
no, TJ is.
I'm also here, but I'm
Looking at
invisible.
you as the regular.
Okay,
All right.
thank you,
very
Kevin.
much.
All right, now we're on to old business. So for any of those that have already been heard, I'll need to know what the board is.
Is
Oh.
no Mark?
What?
Oh, cause is he on ZBA too?
He is. You're absolutely right.
So
Okay,
motion to hold number 1 for representation.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. How, oh, yeah. Okay,
No,
so
that's 12 colors.
we're on to item number 2. Come on up.
Oliver and Watterson.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Very good. Hi there.
these.
So since our second round, on this one, I think the biggest look was the bay window on the second floor,
The cantilever.
the cantilever bay, so we omitted the bay. Put in a dormer up there, reconfigured the plan slightly, and got rid of the bay. The other issue that TJ had was the rail on the east side of the house that still had the pickets. We did draw that as a shingled rail. We thought it looked heavy, so we did a combination of a shingled and picketed rail, which you do see down there in a couple houses. So that was revised.
Thank you.
I think that was our biggest concern was the bay. Isn't it?
It was a big one for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Okay. TJ.
Not quite. Where was the railing that was picketed?
It was on the.
Oh, I see.
sorry,
It's on the east, isn't it?
It's on the south and the east.
Okay. I got you.
And that corner thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now it's half picket, half shade.
Oh, I see what you done. So you did like 2 shingle courses on the bottom
Right.
with the railing above.
I'm not seeing it on the south.
I think it's
Yeah, that's it right there.
Oh, so the shingle is just
Shingles on the base
down
of it,
here.
correct.
Oh, okay, got it. Just to reduce the height of the rail and the ballast.
Yeah, it just felt massive.
What's all that stuff underneath this? That's just open?
Excuse me?
This is just open?
Well, we trim the board.
Oh, okay, because it looks like this post is sort of going through.
Well, I think it's recessed behind the other cedar board.
Okay.
There's rafters, I believe, in the, sorry.
There's little rafters.
Yes, there is rafters,
on
so
the
it's-
east side. Oh, and you're looking at the side?
You're
of
looking
it,
at the
not
side of it.
Okay. So Val, you're okay.
Yep.
And TJ, you're.
I think I'm okay with it, yeah. Good.
Yeah, I think we have to lift off. Okay, does somebody want to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, thanks, TJ. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's that. Okay. We are on 48 Surfside.
Who was on this?
Oh, interesting. It says 48 on our agenda. It sounds like it.
It's gonna be 46 because the news is 44.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's on this one?
This is Paul Coombs, Welch. Let's see, Paul Coombs and Welch.
There's only three.
Oh,
Paul Coombs and
All
Welch.
right.
Paul Coombs, Camp, and Welch, and Dutra.
Well,
But two out
Camp
of,
and Dutra are.
Yeah. So I would like to just ask some advice, because 3 out of 5 of our board is here.
Right.
That, that's a limited chance of having everybody agree.
Not everyone needs to agree.
3 out of,
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3 is a quorum.
Okay. Would it be, would you think, just looking at it to see if we're on the right track, and then we
Okay,
come
have
back
to be
with
really
full
careful.
board, or is that
Okay,
not
now
good?
I remember which one this is.
this is next to the house with the red roof.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
My
so,
old house that we lived in.
Right,
okay, so we have to be careful not to state any opinions of any
No.
kind.
okay,
State any of the what?
Any opinions, otherwise it's open. And right now,
I'm
what
just
what
wondering
Carrie
if-
is wondering is whether she should hold for the 2 other members to appear. I don't know where Jesse is, but Abby is back.
Oh, she is?
Well, no, she's not back now,
Oh.
but she will be back.
Next.
Is this the last meeting in May? It's gotta be.
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Yeah. So next week, she's back. That's new business. So you would be heard definitely when Abby's back. And I dare say, I think Jesse is going someplace.
I might have to wait it till the 11th, if that's the case, because I'm not gonna be around on the 4th,
You
but,
know, I think you should.
okay,
Because if you're stuck with a 3-person board and it's controversial, it just
that's what I think.
is a problem.
Okay. But I don't get any free advice as if I'm on the right track tonight?
No, we are not allowed to deliberate. We're not allowed to.
Free advice today.
Yeah, so we're gonna pass that one over, hold for, all the members.
Okay.
Just a point of order, John,
Yes.
because we didn't officially open it,
Uh,
do we have to make a motion? So we shouldn't make a motion because we just
Hold
get,
it applicant request.
okay,
Right
fair
track.
enough.
So move.
All right, thank you, Diane. All
What
those in
happened?
favor of Diane's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Carrie only has 3 people on that application. She's missing 2, so she wants 5. So she's gonna hold it for next old business. So it was not reviewed. Okay? Okay, next up is number 4 on Finney.
He won't be
It's
here
gonna be
tonight.
a quick meeting.
So are
tonight.
these
I
2
can tell you.
hold?
I'll be in time for lunch.
Motion to hold 4 and 5 for representation.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, guess what? We've just been graced by Mr. Poor. Did you
Okay.
get out of?
Pardon you for being late.
No, but we figured you were down at the
I was.
ZBA.
I was.
Okay, so can we go back to Mark?
Motion to reopen,
Number 1.
number 1.
Thank you
Wonder
for
bar.
your patience.
Well, we kind of
I'm not on
assumed
this, I
that we
don't
weren't going
think.
to see it because we ain't going to see Lisa tonight.
This is Paul Coombs, McLaughlin, and Welch.
McLaughlin, Welch. Okay, very good. This is from a while ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think I know this. I gave us a hint. tell us? what
Yes, thank you. At our last meeting, there was concerns about the height of the building and its proportion to its width. What we studied initially was the opportunity to put in a couple of shed dormers in the roof, which we found that were more convoluted than the simplicity of the design that we really wanted to do. So what we did are three things. We reduced the plate height on the second floor by 16 inches. We widened the building by 2 feet. And we reduced the pitch from 8 to 12 to 7 to 12 to reduce the overall ridge height by about 14 inches. I think this is a better solution than the complexity of putting dormers into the roof. And ideally, it helps our second floor plan with regards to getting the stairs to work and to have a bathroom on the second floor. That's the nuts and bolts of it.
Thanks. Okay, first victim. Diane, you ready?
Yep, I am ready. I think that the new building is much better. This is where the cottage is. This is the cottage, right? The only thing I would ask you to do would be just separate those C windows down below, just separate them up a little bit so you have like a sort of foot in between.
Understood.
Because I like the one up at the top, I just like to see those separated. Otherwise, I think it's a great improvement over the design that we got before. And it looks like it will work out. And you're only at 8 or 19 feet, which is,
A little less than 19 feet.
yeah, which is perfect as far as that is concerned. The prior was 19, but this is only 1811. So,
Yeah, it was
Prior
almost-
was 1911.
It was almost 20,
Yes.
yeah,
so a foot got knocked out of height.
no, that was good, and it looks better.
Agreed. Stephen, you ready?
Yeah, Mark, I appreciate the changes. I think it's appropriate. The only comment I would have is with the colonial style, is it beneficial to you to have the side on the left and right of the stoop to have those walls fully to the front, or is a rebate okay? I mean, like with this is
That
proud of
extension, right.
That's the preference.
That's the preference because of the proportion changes to the width.
Gotcha. No further comments.
Okay. Hey, John, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I have one question. There's no description for the A windows. 3 windows on the second floor.
If you look at there, you have window schedule on this page and hopefully on the last page.
There is one on the left.
There we go, right here. Hopper windows.
Hoppers. 8
Thank you.
hoppers.
Okay, and Mark, thanks for working with us. This was
Thank
good.
you.
Widening the gable was a really good idea.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that, I'm not to belabor this, but you didn't even mention lining up the windows and doors on the first floor. This, as opposed to that, where it's a little more.
It's probably nothing that the HCC can see, but it's more aesthetically
I like it.
pleasing.
So you're okay with the idea of separating those 2 windows on the first floor?
Sure.
Okay, so Diane, would you like to make a motion then that includes your comment?
Okay, I make motion to approve the 12 Mount Vernon Street as submitted with the windows on the south elevation, first floor, window C separated by foot.
When you say separating by foot, is that the rough opening, or is that you want 6 inches of shingles between the windows,
Is that
casing and
what-
casing, which amount to about a foot, a little over? a foot?
Approximately, would say approximately. then you can do what is best.
So they're not.
Yes, exactly. We'll have single course in between.
Okay, thank you, Diane. All those in favor of Diane's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Window all over?
All right.
B, all over?
Oh, yeah. Ooh, touche. Let's see, Charlie Walters at 50 Orange. Anybody here for that? I don't think so. No, right? Okay.
Motion to hold,
Yeah.
number 6 for representation.
All right, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we were on to 6. Charlie Walters, and that's getting held because we don't have any representation.
Oh, for rep, okay.
Hold for rep, exactly. All right, 25 Broadway. Here comes Steve. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Stop, John.
So
Hi.
this is just the drawings that we show the change, the requirement that we had for the material. Instead of the Belgian block, we use brick edge.
Perfect. Now, before we get started, I just need to have the board.
Cole, McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
Thank you. Okay, so the change we're looking at is how you were gonna deal with the,
The elevation.
yeah, and you did, Belgian block before, which we were all thinking was too formal.
Yeah.
And you just, same thing, you're just switching it out for brick
Edge.
standing on edge. 2-inch exposure?
So there is a attached picture you can see. I'm not sure about the dimension. And how.
But that's it, it's like 2 inches. Hey guys, if you look at the photographs on the front, the last page shows like a brick terrace with a little lawn chair sitting on it. And you'll just notice that the brick is sticking up ever so slightly. It's like 2 inches. That's what you're doing. Comments?
I think that's good.
What could be more sconcy than brick?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. John, comments? Good with the brick? Brick edge? Okay, thank you. Stephen, leaves you.
Good.
You're good? Oh, okay. I'm good. So, can somebody motion?
Motion to approve as submitted.
The tension was killing me.
I don't want scouts and advisory calling me up at night.
I think they got another crack at it.
I'm just teasing.
Thank you. Thank you for working with the board. Okay, Chip Webster.
Steve's motion.
Nobody made nobody said aye. I said made a motion.
Oh, sorry.
Val's
All those in
motion.
favor of Val's eloquent motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
There we go.
All right.
There's
Oh,
one
we're,
brave
now we're gonna
man.
get out of here by 7 if we keep it.
Good evening, everyone. You're flying tonight, huh?
Well, yeah.
It's ringing.
What?
And I keep.
Hey, Chip, welcome.
How's it going? Thank you.
Good.
Good to be here. How's everyone? Everyone have a relaxing weekend?
No.
How many
No.
people went swimming?
How many people worked all weekend?
How many people went swimming and work?
Except I went to the
I
cemetery.
did both, actually. Yeah, swimming
And saw
and
Terry.
I went in for my knees. That was it.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't wearing the proper attire, so I just wanted to get wet.
Your bar stripe, full piece swimsuit.
Yeah.
I always say swimming, I mean that loosely. I mean, it's like jump in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
turn around, jump out.
I went in mid-April after a run and I just jumped right out.
Yeah.
I think, Chip, we were holding for some historic information.
Yes, that's correct. So, Chip Webb. Oh,
Excuse me.
sorry.
Board.
Cole, McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Chip Webster on behalf of the applicant. Question, I was not here at the initial,
Right.
but I was under the impression that you didn't look at it or comment on it because you're waiting on some historic information.
Correct.
So wouldn't there be 5 members? If it's just tonight's the first viewing? First
well,
comment?
No,
We actually
we
opened it
actually
and we
did make
discussed
some
it.
comments.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
Yeah,
like
like
the
the
porch,
wraparound
it's too
porch.
modern,
Yeah.
it's too much, it's, you know.
And
Okay.
asked for, I asked for information
But-
before I got it.
You're only shy one person.
I know, 5's better than 4.
I know, it
Was
is.
this last
Well,
Tuesday?
okay,
Cause I,
before we get into it,
Can somebody read in or something, or can we get to 5? I mean, I don't know.
No, there's no
no,
alternate.
hang on.
All right, yeah.
I believe this was heard last, just to answer your question, Diane, this was heard last Tuesday when you were here.
but I watched the whole video. If that's any good, it may not be good. Oh, okay.
So,
I don't know all this.
no, I don't either. So, who's missing?
Abby,
Jesse.
oh,
Jesse.
Yeah.
So you have choices, because if we deliberate at all, that's it, and you can get Jesse to read back in or whatever, but you can also hold it and make no comment, and then Jesse's just.
No, okay, so just read that back to you. So there were 5 and Jesse's missing, that's why we have 4.
Correct.
And if we move forward, we have 4, and if Jesse reads back in, he can get back out.
Right, provided that he doesn't miss more than tonight's meeting. 1 meeting, you're good. 2 meetings, you're not.
You're not.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll go forward.
Okay, you're gonna go for it. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
well, so, I think, because he didn't obviously have a chance to make any revisions, our comments are probably still the same.
Correct. But I think that there were a number of us who were very interested in historic documentation of this. Is that something that you have at your disposal?
All it is a survey that says.
Okay, so, and visibility, I believe, was also part of it?
Yeah.
Because it should be, because it's not visible.
I think you have,
Well, but yes and no. For contributing structures, there's a different set of rules.
So, let's go to that then. It's not, it's not listed as a historic structure with the NHA or the state or anything as a structure. It was not on the 1909 maps. I met with the family who's had the house the whole time, they're the clients, obviously.
But the Sanborns.
it says
No,
contributing on
Dominicals.
that.
That own the house.
No, the Sanborn.
Sanborn maps, correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. It was not on the 1909 map. There's a structure that shows on the 2349 map. The family believes, they recall it was built, the initial structure was built in the 1920s, and then there was an addition that was added in the 50s or 60s.
Okay,
Okay?
all right. Okay,
But we don't have any of that.
now,
I could find any other information.
all right, so I think, let me read through HSAB comments, because it may shed some light on this. Okay, so they often say, please return with any revisions, so that they're kept in the loop. North elevation, possible visibility from North Liberty Street. Please consider more traditional, simple additive massing. East elevation, visible from driveway, Gardner Street. Second floor deck and 2 3/4 pitch dormer. 2 3/4.
See it from Lowell Place.
Oh, okay. 2 3/4 pitch dormer integrated with roof wall is clumsy and not appropriate. West elevation, highly visible from Lowell and Woodbury. Secondary lower gable competes with front door, but is stepped back. Second floor deck makes front look busy. Balcony with French doors over front door detracts from historic presentation. French door is not appropriate. Other, still no history of structures. 6/1s are inconsistent with existing 6/6, though Bay has 6/1. That was HSAP. Okay. So, Chip.
Yes.
We all saw this the first time, and you haven't made any changes, right?
That is correct. We've not made any changes.
Right. Okay.
kind of comment on what we were able to find on history is that there was a structure on there that was older that, according to the Dominicals, may have been a school or something that was removed. So this was not the first structure on the property. In fact, on the 1909 map, it shows the footprint of something. It doesn't say what it was. So there might have been some confusion ASAP on if this was that original structure that was there earlier, but it isn't. And then the other comment is on the visibility.
Well, I don't know whether there's confusion because they say still no history of structures. In other words, whatever you come up with, you should be presenting to them too, in addition to us.
Okay.
But
Well,
a
I'm happy to
survey
present, but I
doesn't
mean,
have any of the information he just gave us. It should be written out or something.
So can I comment
Okay.
too on the history? Okay, so Chip.
Yeah.
The Massachusetts Cultural Resource System has a property on the Quarter Mile Hill at 7. Actually, it's not 7. I don't know. It doesn't have an address, but it does show the Sanborn map, and it does show the footprint of what appears to be the small structure at the front southwest and the larger structure which is next to, on your locust map, a 1. So on this,
that's in 1923.
This map, interestingly enough, is an excerpt. It is not dated. It is part of the Quarter Mile Hill property owned by at the time was owned by Robert and Dot Tonkin. And then it gets into history on that structure. It includes the excerpt of the Sanborn map, but it's not a dated map. It does reference 1898, 1904, 1923, and 1949 maps. So I'm thinking I would prefer, just better safe than sorry, that we would get a copy of the Sanborn maps of the lot. And we would just be able to look through them and try and make a determination. And if it looks, obviously if it looks like there's something that matches the footprint of this structure on the maps, then it's going to be incumbent upon you to try and define the difference between the two, if any.
Right.
And I'm not questioning what the family says, but right now I don't have enough information to determine what's what.
Absolutely. So I obviously I can put all that together. I do have with me one copy, and I can obviously make many and put them in the file, of the 1909 map and the 23 map that are both dated.
Okay.
And you can see on that there was a structure on the 1909 map that no longer, that was moved or removed. And then on the 1923 map, it has footprints that match the current garage, which is in that location. So. And I can point it out if it's.
This is in 1909.
See, just see the structure right here?
Yeah.
That is, was there in 1909 and was either moved or removed. They seem to think it was moved, but the current structure, which it shows here, is a garage, which is a small square garage in that location, which is this little one right here.
Okay, so we're one over from Howard.
Yep. You can see there's a skinny little thing right here. Is that one right there?
So the 1923 is what seems to be reflected in the locus.
Correct.
And that seems to be what's on the other sheet. Have you seen this?
No.
So I actually colored it in blue. This is the lot.
Yep.
And then this was a footprint of a structure, and this was a partial footprint of a structure.
Yep.
Which seems to track your 1923 map.
Correct.
So the question for me is, what is the relationship of this structure to the existing structure?
On the 23 map?
Yeah, because it looks to me, again,
It's substantially similar.
similar in
So I
terms
think
of
that
footprint.
they're probably the main mass. They're certain because their grandfather did it, and it was either in the late 50s or early 60s. built an addition on the rear, which was another separate apartment. So that's why they're probably substantially the same, is my guess. Because the main mass was consistent.
You see, that it was a stable and together together in 1923.
But this is for this one.
Oh, that's that.
Yeah, there's nothing in the record on this one that he found. And on Quarter Mile Hill, I didn't find it either. Under Quarter Mile Hill.
So assuming that this house is roughly that vintage,
Mhm.
you know, 1910 to 1923, give or take, more or less. Could I get comments from the board on this design, assuming that's the correct approximate date of this house?
Okay.
Are you ready, Val?
I'll start, sure. So the west is, to me, the most visible. You can stand on Lowell Place up by Caton Circle there and look through some hedges and see. And
So,
I'm
you're
not
talking about-
talking about separating the hedges. There's hedges that you can see right through.
I'm sorry, what
And-
street?
Lowell Place?
Lowell Place.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Off of Caton
Lowell
Circle?
Place.
Yes.
Lowell Place is
Oh,
right
okay.
on Caton.
And so for me, the biggest concern is probably the west. And what I think this does, Chip, is I'm not so sure I'd necessarily mind the roof walk. Maybe the front could have no boards, so it would look more old or of the vintage we think it is. But the second floor deck on the front of the house, and then the other French doors to the side and the porch make it seem very contemporary, almost like something out of town.
Okay.
So that,
That was the
you know,
west.
right, and with regard to the south, I think the massing is fine, it trails down. The little second roof walk on the one-story addition, whether we can see it or not, although they think they can see that from Gardner Street, it's really too much of an anomaly. If you want a deck there, I think you have to kind of rethink that. And that's my comments for now.
Thank you. Stephen, you ready?
No, sorry.
Okay. John, you ready?
Well, Michelle, brother, stay.
I know.
Gonna abstain.
If you want to get out of it as a deck,
Okay.
this dormer.
Okay. So if you're not ready, I'll give my comments.
Yeah, please, I'm just getting a hold of it.
Okay, so Chip, I agree with Val's comments regarding the west elevation, and I'll recap those just so that you know what my issues are. The deck over the front door, French doors over the front door, the wraparound porch. And I think this building fulfills the requirements in the guidebook for a roof walk, so I'm fine with that. Like Val, I do not think that the secondary roof walk on the little single-story piece in the south elevation is appropriate. So I'd be in favor of seeing that go away. East, you know, it's the same thing. It's that secondary roof walk. I'm actually okay with that dormer. That it's yeah, so the wraparound porch, deck on the west side over the front door, and secondary roof walk. Those are my issues. You ready now, Steve?
Yeah, let me see here, so. Let's get that back. I agree with the comments about the roof walk apron. and Chairman's comments with respect to the second floor deck on the west. And that's it.
Okay. So, a few things. Can somebody give me a motion for revisions, but could they include in the motion
Yeah.
to have this go back with the historic documentation to HSAP
So moved.
before we re-review? And, okay, good.
I'd actually like to add just for the applicant, Chip, if you've got a testimonial from the owner as to the history, I think it should just be included in letter form in the application for
Great.
the HSAB and for the file.
Yeah, definitely, yep.
Yeah, just so we have it.
Yeah,
I do, I'm sorry, before you close it, I have a question, and whatever's good.
okay, I'm gonna hold the motion just for a second.
So I did not go down Lowell Place. That's the one place I didn't check out, so I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah.
So, just as a question, so I can understand the concerns on the second floor deck and the French doors that lead out to it, if there's visibility from Lowell Place, absolutely. But why is the wraparound porch?
To me, it's
I mean,
much more modern detail.
This is a house on a very large lot. I mean, a farmhouse on a large open lot. It would be not atypical to have a wraparound porch. I mean, I'm just curious if.
Perhaps it's in the detailing. Maybe you could look at some of the porches in town and follow some of that suit with maybe the cross
I'd love to see
railing
renovation
and a
concept.
simplified post, not as heavy trim. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Cool.
Okay, so there is a motion on the table to hold for some revisions and send it back with the historic documentation to HSAB. All those in favor? Aye. And I would encourage you to check in with John Hedden and see if Jesse can read back in.
Okay. Cool.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Chip.
Thank you, everyone.
Now, this next one, I didn't give you anything.
He didn't give us anything.
Lowered it.
He did, but I don't have pictures or anything. I thought he gave them to you.
I have a picture.
I'm so confused. We're already on number 10.
Well,
Do you have
Yes,
a
I could
picture
be
with you?
no, this could be a backlash because sometimes we go so fast that we're like, hold for representation, hold for representation, and then everybody shows up.
Okay.
'Not
10 minutes
tonight.
Later. Looking that way.
Okay. This was before? All right.
Are
I'll
we
just show
able
the
to review
pictures.
this, Ms. Oliver?
I guess, here's some
Okay,
pictures.
let's give it a try. Okay, so what's our board on this one?
This is Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Watterson, and Welch.
Wow, all right.
This is a house out off of Eel Point Road on Bishop's Rise.
Yes.
And we reviewed, what did you think about I know that's not this application, never mind, the pool. And it was held for some revisions to the chimney, or as I interpreted conversation, lower the pipes that are sticking up.
Yeah.
So he did that as opposed to put a cap on it. So look at,
We even need to look at. the-
well, do you want to see and compare
Sure.
what it was and what they are now?
Oh, because this has the photographs on it.
Right,
They had two pipes of the old.
right, and they
Yeah.
were quite tall, and they looked like a reverse funnel, so they were narrow and then they kind of flared out.
Yeah.
He's gotten rid of the narrow part, and it's just the circular pieces there.
Did he tell you what color it was? Is it like
Yeah.
black or white?
Silver. No,
These-
no
In
gray.
the picture,
Tin
that's
color.
like,
Yeah, I think they're
crayons.
Yeah.
I think they are.
I think it'd be hard.
When
to
you see the
this.
pictures.
So, Stephen, I'll put you down as fine. Oh, yeah, wow, they're much lower.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. John, you're on this, did you see these?
Yes,
You okay?
I have a comment.
Go.
I think for us to get together in the near future, and anything that goes up like that, to look shiny like that, it's gotta be black. It's gotta be a dark color. In the future,
Ideally, yeah,
instead of
you
color.
you can put that, stove paint, that black stove paint on there, 'cause that stuff won't, takes high temperatures.
Heat
You
resistant.
can get them in black.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, TJ?
So you're not proposing to, I'm tuned out a little bit when you were saying.
Oh, no,
Did
there
you see
was
this?
I
a
didn't see
comments
this.
about either putting a cap
Yeah,
on top or lowering the pipes, so we lowered the pipes.
I'm fine with it.
How about you, John?
I don't think you will be able to see that pipe. And if you wanted to paint it, I wouldn't paint it black, I might paint it a dark gray, because it's on a chimney.
That metal is gonna tarnish anyway.
Yeah.
If it's shiny now.
Well, it won't be by the end of the summer, and I think it's going to be hard to see really, because it's tucked around there and back. You get certain views, but I think it's
Minimal.
probably approval in that it doesn't get you in the eye.
All right, so I think we're good to
Mr.
go.
Chairman,
Yes.
I actually had a conversation with the distributor of that type of cap, and we talked about different stuff, and that he could lower it down in the chimney. And I also explained to him about having different chimney caps for it. So they're all aware of it now, which is
Okay. In other words, they won't go making the same mistake.
Then also, I'll ask him about the painting of it. Paint
Yeah.
Black or matted.
Well, and somebody mentioned, I think it was John mentioned that you may be able to get it something other than these
Yeah, I
things
think so,
from
yeah.
the factory. Okay, so, can somebody give me a motion?
Motion proof is submitted.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, TJ, you're up. Now, was this one heard?
What is
Yeah.
it?
It was just help for representation, because I wasn't here last week.
Right, so we're all on this one. Thank you. No, sorry. Or why?
The Coton's Island.
It can't be an island.
Maybe within a wetland.
Road. Okay. Oh, so it looks like you're gonna extend the porch, add a little bump out. Okay.
And change a couple doors and windows.
Okay.
And this is a 1982 house that they just bought. And the plan is within 3 to 5 years to apply to demolish it, build something new. But they want to make some interim changes in the meantime, which all seem pretty reasonable and keeping with what's there, I'd say.
I think the porch extension and the little bump on the north help it hugely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This guy is just a box.
What is,
This thing?
that's
Oh.
just
What it
a
is now.
picture window.
Okay, so it doesn't project out.
It actually, no, we are applying to change it to just we're taking the bay off of it.
Got
Window
it.
stays,
And
bay
just do
goes.
a picture.
Yeah,
got
same
it.
window, but take the
Okay,
bay away.
got it. Thank you.
I think these changes are appropriate.
Yeah,
Thank you, Val. Diane,
yes, I do too,
you're on board?
yeah.
Stephen?
Nice improvements. TJ, I'd only mention on your window door schedule, your 15 light doubles didn't come through in the mapping. It looks like
Oh, I
they
see
may
that.
have. On the door window schedule, the 15 lights didn't come through on the double door, the French door.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, see what you mean.
No biggie. Motion to approve is submitted.
Very good. Oh,
Oh, you
hang
didn't
on.
speak?
Yeah, John.
Oh.
You're on it,
You
John.
can have discussion on the motion.
I made a motion.
Oh, you made a motion?
You did?
You can't just make a motion to approve.
No.
I didn't hear you.
Huh? We changed it. I'm a deaf one. Doesn't matter. If Steve wants to make a
Boy,
I'm sorry,
somebody ate
what
some
did you just say,
oats.
John?
Where are
Okay,
you on here?
so did you say to make a motion with changes?
make a motion to approve as
Submitted.
Submitted?
changing, no, you said something about changing the door.
No.
Oh, no, I just pointing out to him there was
okay.
something on the drawing.
Okay,
So
so
he's
all
aware.
those in favor of John's motion?
Aye.
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 All right.
My motion was rescinded.
Well, apparently yours was after John.
Yeah.
So Julie Jordan is not here.
Motion to hold for representation.
Oh, that's Harbor View, so yeah, I don't think we can do anything with that until she's.
I have pictures.
Yeah, I took a look at that one. Okay, so did somebody just motion
Yes.
to hold for rep? All those in favor?
Hi.
Okay, Winnet Road. Here's our fanfare. Yeah. Yes, I heard him talking about it.
I know you do.
Matt's gonna have a special rule that says, if you're talking out in the hall and we can still hear you, you have to go downstairs.
I took pictures of
Oh,
the
yeah.
poles in
Really?
case somebody didn't get out
Yeah, we
there.
heard everything.
Oh my God, I can't believe you said that.
You guys got amazing ears.
John just accused us
You
all of
probably
being
can't
down.
be on that, I wasn't here last week. Or maybe
Joe
it
the
was
Trail.
This is Cole, McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
Okay.
Dutra's not here.
No TJ, no Diane?
Diane wasn't here.
right.
TJ was surfing.
I went out.
Someplace else.
Yeah.
Someplace else.
They had us in for a grill and some oysters on the half shell
Okay.
All right, so
next door.
quick update. Prefer, Mr. Chair?
Okay, so the board requested ridge poles, so they were erected on site at the designated locations. We were reviewed last Tuesday. The deadline, it was a quick deadline. So we made some adjustments to the plan for some of your comments. Most specifically, we dropped the ridge height of the secondary additive piece by, I would say at least a foot to 16 inches. The type is very small. We also reduced the chimney width.
Sorry.
Sure.
You reduced the ridge of the subordinate mass.
Correct.
Okay, so the main mass is the same height.
Yes, which is the
Okay,
27.
sorry, just clarify. Continue.
Most of the comments were relegated to that additive piece, so we dropped the plate height accordingly. We also omitted the transoms, which were, I don't think everybody loved those. The other component part, some of the idea behind this additive piece was that it has like an additive element to it that it essentially could have been a secondary independent piece that was then connected to the house. And so we initially actually had these kind of barn doors, sliding barn doors, so that you could close it up for the winter and then open it again. And so we did add those back as part of losing the transoms and dropping the height. We thought the scale was a little bit more appropriate. We also narrowed up the chimney throat, if you will, and changed the proportions slightly. I think universally everyone felt that it was just a little bit too wide. We did go back and forth, pushing it inside the building, outside the building. Some of the feedback we got from the clients was they were concerned that by pushing it in the building, it actually made the space smaller and can make it hard for furnishing. One suggestion I had was to maybe widen the building slightly so that the chimney was either halfway in and halfway out, or widening it to the point where it completely was inside the building, and that way they could still maintain the furniture layout. Anyways, we have a couple of other minor changes in terms of aligning, elevation, window elevation on the west elevation. So just with that, Mr. Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Your turn back.
Ready?
Yep.
I expect this to go over again, so I'll leave this for you guys I'll give staff a copy. We'll go over this first and then I'll show you the real piece, or is it not?
Yeah, I'll give this one. Thanks.
Okay, there's a little bit of confusion on the, Linda Williams for the record, for the owner at 110 Winnet Road, and Ruth Gifford is here for the owner at 110. There was another neighbor that was coming, but I think she probably didn't want to drive at night from out there. The application itself, unless I'm looking at an old page, says that the ground cover is 1560, yet the actual elevations say that the ground cover is 2370. If
The elevations or the plans?
the plans on the right say 2370. The application page says 1560.
That may be at like new square footage, perhaps, but
It's
clearly.
supposed to have the whole thing, isn't it? The total square footage of the whole building
Well, it depends on what
on the
it says.
application.
If
So
it says
that's why I was a little confused.
size of addition, blah, blah, blah. It's
It
different
doesn't say
than size
addition.
of entire.
It says existing 844, proposed 2370, total proposed 2370.
But the decision, the application itself said 1560, so that's why it was a little bit confusing. But I put the two on the handout I just gave you, I put the two footprints together.
Okay.
If it is indeed 2370, that is 3 times the size of the existing footprint. And don't get fooled by the second floor. The second floor is a full second floor. They are camouflaging it by changing pitches. We have 2 separate pitches on this structure. We have a 7/12 on the north side, which is very flat, which we don't really approve anything, or haven't in the 20 years I was on, anything less than 8 pitch on a new structure.
Linda, can I stop you just for a
Yep.
second? Okay, so you say that the ground coverage new is.
3 times the existing ground cover,
Right.
thereabouts.
And it is 1/4 of the allowable ground coverage.
Doesn't matter.
I'm just saying.
I know, it does
It's
not
a
matter
quarter
under the
of the
state
allowable
legislative
ground.
stuff that was passed 30 years ago, it doesn't matter, HCC has control over
Okay,
massing.
continue.
So, that was done by Sandy Knox Johnson at that. It is also a 1-story structure, it's going up to 27 plus. It's obliterating, I can go down this so you guys can read it at your leisure.
I kind of prefer the latter unless there's new information.
Yeah, it's just, it deals with the pitches, it deals with the gang, everything's ganged on the water side, nothing on the entire bluff all the way down to Pocomo is ganged like that. There are several 1-story structures, which I will hand you out in another handout. I gave you the context of the neighborhood, I gave you, if you all want to see it, because you had to actually walk down on the beach.
I'm still getting sand out of my shoes.
Yeah, did you go down through our property?
No, I stopped at Toppers, had a couple shooters.
Kept going? Here, take that in.
There was a wedding going on, and
There's
they said,
always a
"Come
wedding
in."
going on. Here,
I'm with the group.
for anybody who'd like to see it, it goes all the way up to the entrance of Great Point. Val, you're gonna have to get up and go look at it because it's too long. I couldn't copy it any smaller. That's Great Point up at that end. This goes all the way down just short of Pocono at this end. There are one-story structures and small main masses that are low-eaved in the center with 2 stories that have 1-story additions. Even the Wawinit house is set back so far that it looks smaller. It's very compact. Most of these, except for the pink house, which I didn't even know was there, were central mass, small main mass, and then they have 1-story additions, and a lot of them have natural or weather trim. None of them have this massing, this complicated a massing, and it is a full 2-story because every dormer on here is a flush dormer. There's only a slight difference between the ridge running east and west off the 1-story structure to the next piece that runs behind it. There is nothing on this bluff that has this type of component. This structure is the closest to the bluff, probably back in the 60s, that's what they did. But everything else is set back. Some of these houses you can't even see from the water because they're set back so far. This structure is one of the smallest on the bluff, and I know our clients know that you can add a mass to it. The ones over there on the left, Steve, are back behind it. They're not on the main road. The ones in front of it are 1-story, because I know everybody owns it. So the ones you're seeing that are bigger, Steve, are on the back towards the ocean side, not the bay side. So we're questioning the complete obliteration of the existing 1-story structure. And nothing but ganged windows and doors on the water side. So it's a solid wall of glass. It is also over the 50% fenestration allowed on one elevation for glass. We have extra long windows. We have transom, thank God, are gone. Val, and the other ones, I've given you the pictures of those houses, these are different ones.
Yeah, I saw that.
But we don't think this is appropriate at all. There isn't any additive massing. It's just futzing around with the piece over the old piece going back. We all understand why they're doing that, because if they tried to build a house that close to the bluff now, Concom would push it back anyway. But there's a lot of problems with the design. Everything's been detailed in the packet that I gave you, if you want to read that for the next time. And I'll give you the other things. But I also wanted to point out, in case somebody didn't remember, what the previous minutes said. And I'll give you all a copy of that as well. Abby was quite taken aback by the design. Ray, you said it's a tragedy.
Wait.
The November
Okay,
minutes.
so when we had a different.
We didn't really get
person
too far
associated
last
with
week. So I just want you to take a look, because all of the comments made before are still relevant.
Mr. Chair, can I just clarify? That's, I mean, you're referring to the previous design.
Right,
Yeah.
but I have the same concerns now, that's why.
Just want to clarify that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the public record.
Everybody understands that, right?
Yep.
Yes.
This was a
Public
previous application from previous designer.
Keep that in your packets, I'm not recopy this stuff. I'm giving you the closest of others here. But we have the same exact concerns that we had the last time.
Were you here last time?
Last Tuesday?
No.
November?
Yeah.
Arthur was.
Arthur,
But
yeah,
yes, there
Arthur.
was somebody from the office.
I noticed the copper's not on the dome.
No, it's on the ground now.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I think the wind got it.
I thought they were redoing it.
They're doing something
It's
with it.
it's laying on the
They got
ground.
approval for it, but they're doing something. I have one more handout.
Okay. I want to hear from Will.
While you're pulling that out, let me just quickly reiterate the point I made briefly last time regarding the definition of renovation. I think we're seriously over the line here. I'd love to see more of the house that is being renovated incorporated into the design in terms of massing and scope. whatever further conversation there may be with Mr. Gasparo at a Comcom meeting in the future, I leave to that. But pointing out, again, that this is as far forward as if you look, as Johnny's doing now, at the line up here, this sucker is as close to the harbor as anything along that whole strip. And while it hasn't been as impactful because it's a one-story small structure, if you double that structure or triple the structure in terms of footprint and you double the height, or at least double the height, the impact is visually going to be a heck of a lot more just because it's closer to the harbor view shed. And also, Matt, you have an area on your plan.
Yeah.
You're showing a future expansion of a garage. Okay. Realizing that you haven't provided that to the commission yet, I would like to, again, remind the commissioners that there will be another structure proposed here.
In
And
back of it.
based on what was proposed last November, that was a two-story garage, which the garage alone is sort of out of whack with the rest of the neighborhood. So while you're evaluating the materials that Linda has given you and while you're evaluating the entire impact of the site, please bear in mind that there may be yet another structure added to the mix.
Thank you, Vic.
I've got.
Thank you. Okay. Are we ready to begin a discussion on this?
Almost.
Almost.
I will start, I guess.
Thank you, Beth.
I did go out and see the poles and took pictures of them. Thank you, Linda, for all the background work. I think,
Did you get down on the beach?
no,
That's why I gave you the beach.
one of these actually make me, you're not gonna like this, but feel a little bit better about the massing because these are quite something.
Which
These
are you looking at?
The houses she gave us examples of what's in the
Oh,
area.
earlier, yeah.
So in terms of its overall massing, I don't know that these are actually working in your favor, except we can't see them from the street. The house increasing threefold, I don't know that that's necessarily a concern of ours, if the design is appropriate. The house that you're representing has actually got a bigger footprint
Most of it's one story.
than this house, right, so, but just saying.
Which
with,
one?
110.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is you can cover this amount of ground cover if the massing works appropriately. I think that, thank you, Matt, for the changes. Getting rid of the transoms and downsizing, those things make a difference. I do still think that the east and the west elevations, with the exception of maybe reducing some of the glazing on the west, are appropriate in my mind's eye as something that would be out farther on the, past the Wawinnet house on the way to Code 2 in those areas. The the south and the north, however, I'm still really struggling with, and I think that is where your massing is kind of falling short for you. That's all I have right at the
Okay,
moment.
no, that's good. Thank you. Oh gosh, I lost my cheat sheet.
John,
Well, we have Steve. You ready or you still?
Yeah, I'm good. I think, thank you everyone for all the work you put into this. Number one, certainly a lot. Number two, I think Linda's brought up some valid points about the footprints, so try to do a little research here. And Matt, your footprint is a little bit, on average, it's less than 106, 110, and 100R. Those are further towards the water than your structure, the second story structure portion of your proposal. I don't have a read on your second story square footage. So I don't have that to compare to, but I think my primary concern is, as was voiced by Val, and that is the relationship of the north-south elevations to the east-west. It's almost like they're two different structures.
Yeah.
Now, I would suggest that to some extent that is also, let me look, I got so much paperwork here. Some of that is mitigated by the, I would presume there's going to be some limitations on visibility if planting material is supplemented more like at the neighbor at 110, they have indigenous plant materials along the street, whereas this structure has privet, just a kind of a not really healthy looking double row privet along the front. I don't think we should be making our decisions based on the landscape material, but I do mention that because it could be relevant. I'm not gonna, we're not into redesign business, and so I'm not gonna get into too much other than my comment on that I made there. But I do appreciate the changes on the east elevation. I think the changes to the chimney it has a dramatic, both of those changes have a dramatic impact to the positive. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. John, are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Looking at the array of the whole beach there, it's nice. It's a mixture of 1.5 and 1/3, 1.5, and 2/3. The plans are, you can see it. What I see here, I would think that the structure height-wise fits into the area, length-wise it fits into the area of mostly all the other houses that are there. And I think if you took, as presented here, try to find the front door, under here somewhere.
East, John.
On the east.
Yes.
Right here?
Yes, east, east elevation.
Facing
A
wall,
2.1. Sheet A 2.1, so the previous sheet. And the east elevation, which is the top
Yeah.
elevation. Yeah, right.
This one or this one?
This one right here. There you go. Yep.
Thank you, yeah. I think main thing for this, if this is to fly with minor changes, the only thing I think that should be changed here is the transom is highly inappropriate for most of the houses along this way.
If I'm Arnold at Transom's, he removed them all.
Sorry?
He removed them. You had that same comment last week, and he got rid of them.
He took them out and lowered.
Okay.
I think it's probably
I think
ready
you
to
said
fly.
that last week, and so he got rid of them, John.
No, I said I think it's probably ready to fly.
Oh, okay. Okay, so me. Thank you, John. Was it Stephen or Val or both said that it almost looks like two different buildings? You have the east and the west, which are fortunately the ones that are going to have the highest amount of visibility, that I think are charming. And if there's any so-called complication to those at all, it's because this building is trying to be kept low. But the north and the south, this long sort of sprawling gable is not working in your favor. I don't quite know what to do about it. I appreciate the changes that you made for this meeting. And I have just a thought. Because this thought, I think, kind of transcends the HDC and gets into zoning and Concom. But this whole notion of saving the existing house and considering this as a renovation or an addition onto an existing building is kind of disingenuous in a certain way. I think we all understand why it's being done, but like, we're talking about 25 feet, so why not just give up? Give up that 25-foot to 50-foot buffer, pull it back, because I think the Concom is going to have a lot to say about this. So the house gets pulled back. You take the existing structure, that is roughly a little bit larger than your future garage. That moves up here. It becomes your future garage building, so it has to keep its own identity. And I think that that would simplify the issues that you have before you in terms of trying to design that little chunk into what is essentially a new building. Having said all that, that's kind of not our purview, the Concom setback, or the fact that, you're saving that footprint and how much needs to be saved for the Concom. But I just, deference to the existing house, I would want to take that and rather than have it smothered by this larger element, move it back onto the property closer to Walwinet Road as some sort of guest house / garage. So, just to reiterate, east elevation looks great, west elevation looks good, north and south, just like Val said at the outset of this whole discussion, I think that it's just looking really heavy, and I don't know what to do about that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
So, Matt, just along the lines of those comments, north-south, I just add that to the south, looking at that more with an eye as to the three-dimensional depth, there will be, as it's presented on the cover sheet and in the elevation, your summary of elevations, and on the individual sheets. I think that the south is not as much of a concern for me as the north, where the north is really one facade, and the south is, many, at least 20-foot difference. There's going to be a sense of additive massing there that doesn't show up on the 2D. Is that fair to say, Mr. Chairman?
It is, yeah.
The north, however, reads
It's a block.
really definitely different than the rest of the structure.
If I could, to that point, I mean, that is, I understand that cross gable, but in many ways, that is kind of like the primary mass, and then allows a lot of these secondary additive pieces to kind of work off of it. So I don't disagree that the pitch of that in the mass of it is different from the other pieces. I think the one thing that may be helpful, and something I can definitely do, is bring in some three-dimensional renderings that kind of show the perspectives where you do see the combination of the two. Having said that, I can also maybe do some studies about some additive, massing, if you will. The previous iteration, I felt, had, on this north elevation in particular, it's so much complexity going on. I don't know if you recall, but there was a lot going on there. It was the previous design prior to my involvement. It was the last time that you had seen it before we were hired, and it was just so much going on, and it was so much complexity that the notion was to try and simplify the masses. But I do have some ideas that I think that two things. One is to kind of show the three-dimensional presence of it, number one, and two is to maybe address some of those comments. I'd also just like to, sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, you go continue.
I was just going to say about
make sure to say something.
the bigger picture about the Concom. In all the discussions I've had with the owners, the Concom, issue hasn't been like the primary focus of like, we have to keep this portion of the house because of the Concom, whether or not that's part of some larger, conspiracy, I don't know, but I'm just telling you all my conversations with them.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. But
I mean, it's reality.
It's absolutely crystal clear that the only reason that thing is staying is because it's sitting closer than 25 feet to
And there might be some discussions with the neighbors that could be engendered by moving it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that I haven't.
Which
Might
might
say something
make
further.
it quieter.
Quieter, and as you know, you get into the Concom, and if you're pre-existing over the 25 or anywhere near the 25, you get into the horse trading thing.
Yep.
And maybe you don't move it all the way back to 50, but you move it, between 25 and 50. But now you are doing a new building that doesn't have the encumbrance of that existing little cottage there. So,
all I'm
that's just
saying,
something for you
Yeah.
to talk with your client about. But so,
I just want to say, just on that same point, if I could, Mr. Chair, is like, none of that has ever really come up in my discussions with and the motivations for keeping it or why to keep it related to Concom. And maybe you're privy to information that I'm not, and I mean that in all sincerity.
People have a really great view in the front row, and then somebody says, "Hey, you'll never get that now." Never get that now. They're like,
We've done it in here a million times.
Well, all I'm saying is that I just haven't had those conversations with them, and so I can't agree to
I
that.
have no authority from my
Okay.
client
Chairman,
to say this.
So,
point of order,
Thank you, John.
one person at a time, please.
Totally agree. Now, I just want to make one last comment that I should have made, but I was just reminded of it. Early on, you said about the exterior chimney, and I had mentioned maybe annexing the chimney into the mass, and you said it's going to take up floor space. I, for one, I can't speak for the rest of the board members, would be in favor of you making that gable a little wider. It's not going to get that much taller, and then you're not looking at this big sort of.
You can make it wider by just shedding a roof there
Yeah.
and sucking it
And
in.
then
You don't
you're
have to
covering
make
up
the gable
at
taller.
least a third, maybe
Yeah.
half of
Right.
the roof.
and
So
that's,
okay.
I actually have some more architectural, and I want to stay away from the Concom discussion. Matt, with respect to your north elevation as it translates to your west, I think that the difficulty I'm having is the north elevation articulates towards that gable in the west front on the left.
Mhm.
You've got, on your north, you've got that kind of shed roof transition. And then that, on the west here.
Yep.
And then on the west, the gable is the full width.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not designing the table, but I think in terms of articulating and breaking up that mass along the north, if you were able to set this back somewhat, and then you were able also to, the west left to right from this main side, so that this is actually set back somewhat. You'd get a jog here, and you could also change how the roof planes relate to one another. And I think you could even you might be able to drop a corner here, so that this starts to create a sense of, this is not a elongated, atypical transition. It actually becomes a primary structure with a secondary structure that steps back another foot or two to the one that wraps around. So I'm not suggesting to give you design advice so much as where I'm seeing the discontinuity and what's typical and what's not.
The irony on that is that is the portion of the existing structure, but I'll definitely look at that.
There's your give for content.
Okay, Linda, I know you had a parting comment.
I think ideally, there are two things I just want to reiterate. We'd like the small mass to stay on the bluff. It isn't be very visible, more or less so than any of the rest of them, which are set back, and have the additive massing like they're supposed to go out the back. That's one. Number two, you keep saying that the west elevation is fine. A, it's over the 50% fenestration rule, and every single thing on that side, including the oversized, I don't know what they are. They're not doors, they're not windows, there's something in between, in the connector between the two. Every single thing on that north side, the west side, is ganged. Not one structure from Great Point all the way to Pocomo has that configuration, not even the pink house.
We all addressed the over-fenestration.
No, he didn't do anything with it.
Vale mentioned it. And we
Okay, because
concurred
everything's
with
still
it, yeah.
ganged. Every single set is ganged.
Okay, thank you, Linda. It's nice to reiterate that.
Motion to hold for revisions.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go through staff.
We're close. We're very close.
Diane is going to draft. We're going to attach
We don't need no
the
stinking
following
exhibit.
Conditions.
I heard a roof.
14.
Condition
now
number
serving
187.
Any window here and there.
They don't know each other
Yeah, no.
for years.
Very
Well, they can reach out.
right? I don't really got conduit.
Who's on this one?
Okay, let's see.
This is Cole, McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
We're on Eel Point Road now, right?
Yes, we are.
Right, we're astral
This is our-
projecting to
this
Eel
is our-
Point Road.
It's your baby, de rigueur.
I want to go
It's
back
not-
and
It's
vote.
not Tuesday night at the HDC without a 28 Eel Point Road. So
We did what you said, so hopefully we should be, although, yeah. With the exception of one.
Okay, well, hang on a second. Who is it again? I should almost.
Paul McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
This is in for an elevation reduction, is that correct?
Yes, yeah. No, that's not true.
He's
Shouldn't even
gonna
joke.
surprise the hell out of us one day.
Yeah.
He said, we just decided to drop the grade 4 feet.
Yeah, possible. We actually have we've done that. It's, yeah. Not 4 feet, about a foot, just before construction, just to kind of play it safe, you know?
Motion to approve.
Yeah. We haven't done it here, but I'm saying, there's another one. No, I got you.
Okay.
So, if you want, Mr. Chair, I can just go through the changes you suggested.
Also, nothing to speak of on the, nothing to speak of on the west other than the removal of the transom.
Correct.
South,
So South
Dory, we already talked about. You,
we changed the fenestration, the door configuration from 4 to 5, just so that the center one's operable. We added a French door in that center gang, but
I
that's
see.
so far back, I don't think we're gonna see that. But we did remove the transoms. There was pretty much no support for those whatsoever. So we removed those in that rear L. I did just notice that in the kitchen on the east elevation, they still do remain.
Transom?
I'm sorry, I kind of jumped.
Yeah.
So, but just to kind of circle back, we basically were looking to add transoms in that dining area on all 3 sides of it. And I think that the board collectively felt that they would be visible, and so and they were not appropriate, and so we did omit them completely from that dining area. I did just notice, though, however, they are still remaining in the kitchen, which are those 2 double hungs. So again, if the board feels that those are inappropriate, we certainly get rid of them. So we basically.
okay, got it, Matt. You got it. All right.
Want me to go? Matt, I'm glad you said that, because that was my only concern, was those remaining transoms. The east is probably the most visible when people are driving out Eel Point Road, sitting there on the hill, so
Yep.
those are too much of an anomaly now with the house as you've taken them away. And I wasn't sure about this reduction of the dormer windows, but I think I appreciated it, sort of making it a little bit quieter on that side, so thank you.
Yeah, yes, raise suggestions of things.
Yep, Matt, appreciate the changes, in particular the dormer. Good with those H3s being axed and on the east as well. No other comments.
Thank you. John?
There's, yeah, one comment, multiple awnings in here.
The G windows.
The windows, right?
Yeah.
Multiple. Why, you still get the same breeze, why can't, instead of using them as jolts, why not make them 3/3 double hung?
What are they called out as now?
These are more appropriate, I think. More appropriate.
What are they on the schedule, John?
Yeah,
The schedule says they're awnings.
But does it say fixed or anything like that?
I think there probably are awnings. We could change them to double hungs.
You know, and the interesting thing about doing that is you have plenty of space underneath the sill. Excuse me, I should
Do like a cottage
no, I mean, you just do a 3/3 double hung, which is a little bit taller than you okay with that?
I'm fine with that, yeah.
Cool.
All right, so, and I too am in favor of routing out the last of the transoms. Those things breed.
Yes.
So you know there will be like,
They're
they'll be
like
all over
seals.
the house.
It won't be Eel Point Road
You gotta
anymore.
get rid of every single one of
It'll be
them.
Transom Point Road.
Okay.
I'll make a
Oh,
motion.
hang on. Yeah.
It's still going on, the transoms too, I agree.
Yep. Oh, yeah, they're going,
They're-
John.
They take a hike.
Yeah, okay, so, Val, I think you know what the motion needs to be.
Motion to approve through staff omitting the transoms on the east elevation and making the G windows into double hung on the same elevation.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Beach Road. Beach Road. Oh, I'm not on this one. I'm sure there's another one.
I think there's a couple there.
There are.
Oh, yeah, because you weren't here, you were away,
It's only,
right?
6 o'clock.
Joanne.
You said 7:30 the other night.
That's because you kept talking.
And you said 8 o'clock, you said 6:30.
I'm gonna start the meetings with
Have
a
a
prayer,
snack.
an HTC prayer, succinct, only on topic of HTC matters, and no designing at the table. That'll be our prayer every Tuesday night.
I only heard hard. Lisa's not gonna. Like if that's.
Sitting is Cole, McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
Okay. Oh, that's right, this is Eddie's place. What did you do?
Mr. Chair, you had asked that we drop the plate height of the revised dormer on the south elevation on A2.1. Just to drop the height of it. We should have actually showed the previous submission. But there was basically some additional shingle space above it, and so Steve, I think that was your suggestion. We actually made another minor change to the depth of the deck. So if you see in the west elevation, that deck in the rear, we've extended it out so that it's a bit more usable. That's something that we had done, that you had not asked us to do, but something that we were planning to come back in with anyways. Again, that's on the back of the house. Staying on the west elevation, we previously showed transom dormers over the first floor windows flanking the chimney. We removed those. I think everybody felt that they were just not appropriate.
Oh, yes, the transoms and then there's windows above them.
And then another change on the east elevation, we have that pergola that was roughly 8 feet deep, the same depth as the covered porch. We've actually reduced the pergola to 4 feet and put it on brackets and extended the deck. It was almost like we had, more pergola than we needed in the back and not enough deck, and so we kind of increased the size of the covered porch area and then reduced the pergola so it just filtered that southern exposure. Those are the changes, Mr. Chair.
I think the extension of the porch looks like a carport. It's so deep, but I guess the south you can't really see from anywhere.
I don't think you can really see it. We're gonna do like
It's
a
not
drive-through.
really improving your pretty house here.
Saw some burgers. Well, we could pull some of it back if you felt like it was too long or something, but again, I don't think
That's
it's really
just me.
visible. Yeah.
I preferred the last iteration with the larger pergola and the smaller porch, but if that can't be seen, you could probably get a vote in favor of that. I thought the last iteration had some windows that were transoms or whatever these G are. So I'm a little confused about what I'm comparing it to, but I guess this was what was approved as opposed to what was previously submitted.
No, you're talking about that.
On the south. The little mini
the
dormer.
south elevation.
Yeah, so the previously approved south, that's what the current approval was. The previous submission, we're not showing, which would have been helpful, so sorry about that. But the only difference was, Val, was there's basically a shingle course, the plate height of that smaller dormer had higher plate height and actually had like actually a little bit more than a course of shingles. And I think it was Stephen's recommendation to actually drop it so that the casing sat right on the freeze board.
Okay.
Matt, just a point of information. So that also addressed our on the west elevation, the creating more of a difference between the dormer heights that I think was a concern brought up by one of the commissioners.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And just for point of reference, Val, the heavier clouding represents the most recent round of changes. The lighter clouding amount is indicative of what we came in with originally.
Okay.
Okay, so Val, I think that your only real concern is the lengthening of that porch, right?
Yeah, and the mitigation of the pergola and putting it on brackets, but if it can't be seen, I guess it's not an issue.
Stephen, are you ready?
Yeah, Matt, appreciate the changes. I think that lowering that dormer and simplifying the trim detail on that was helpful, and it does address the concerns on the west elevation to better delineate those two dormers. The rear porch, covered porch, is longish, but I agree with Val. But I also agree that it's not going to be something that's visible or never to the extent that it would be an issue. And I appreciate the fact that the trend we're going with the transom windows, which is to remove them. So thank you.
Okay. John, anything?
Yes,
This
this was previously approved south elevation, and the new one here changes.
Yeah.
If these half stairs, you know, you put the other characters, the rest of the windows, why wouldn't they leave those two windows there? Why did they drop the roof?
So the reason being is that that's actually a two-story cathedral space, and the volume of the space was becoming really tall and out of scale, and so we wanted to drop it, and it's a different use, and it also correlates with the composition of that elevation in the middle, where we have the covered porch that correlates to the transom. So it's a couple of different reasons.
Just so you know, this area opens up below.
There's no lighting, right?
Yeah, so this internally, this was too much. That's why they changed, that's why they
Oh,
changed.
no, it's an NFA.
More light than this.
But John, I think he actually wanted to push the roof down because underneath your hand is a whole, like, living room. So, yeah, and he wanted it to be not as high, because that one right there is very high. He wanted it to be lower down. By the way, there's a fix. I just checked.
Excuse me.
Okay, so, I think that we're ready to approve this the way it is.
Okay.
But I don't think anyone would object to it. Val, these two.
Do you mind? I had an idea, because I don't disagree with you. That looks really
Yeah,
long.
that's a great idea.
Just sort of breaking it.
All right, it's a one-story cottage now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like that.
Can we label that Exhibit A? I saw it, that looks great. Can we label that Exhibit A?
Yeah, let's do that.
Motion approved, subject to changes shown on Exhibit A.
Roger that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Matt.
You still written them? Are you
Yeah.
still the scribe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're next.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Paul McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welsh.
You're on the roll.
Get it done.
Setting up the highway. All right.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was the verticality of the windows.
Right.
Yeah.
So, again, we had kind of a limited turnaround time here, but I think that the primary comment was the verticality of the windows. And so if you go to A2.1, you can see the comparative elevations of the previous submission versus the new. We basically unmold the units, and so that allowed us to get a little bit additional width. We also reduced the pilasters by roughly 2 inches, so that it allowed us to increase the proportion of those units. I had a couple thoughts about those units. I've seen some kind of larger scale double hungs. I don't know if that has any.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Which units?
So on the west elevation, you can see between the bays, it essentially would become like a 4/4, so that the sash could slide up and down. Or this guy like here. Yeah, I mean, I've actually seen, and I can't recall exactly where, but there are examples of those, and I just thought it might be kind of interesting.
Isn't the Starlight like that?
The Starlight, it currently is not. We did get approval for triple hungs, but they are probably going to do that phase 2 just because the cost associated with it is so significant.
Matt, what if those were sliders?
Yeah, I mean, we could look at that as well. The only thing is that you have the, this is the, like,
Where would they slide to?
like one would be proud of the other.
One behind the other, yeah.
Whereas if it's the and again, I don't have a strong, it was just a thought.
I like it.
Yeah, I like the double hung. I think functionality is going to be difficult, though. That's a big window. What are the colors?
Currently, it's all white.
Okay.
And so we weren't proposing any changes.
I was just curious relative to what those might look like as double homes if they were a dark color or something. Okay.
Okay. Bless you.
Thank you.
I'm going to read through HSAB on this, which the comments this time are pretty benign, but there's an interesting one. North elevation likely not visible. East elevation fire escape removal is an improvement, but likely not visible either. West elevation, and this is interesting. They say the porch glass is too vertical. 6 light option, which I'm not sure is a good one, and or drop head casing to align with pilaster capitals. Now,
Is that from before?
That's new.
That's new?
It's new, yeah.
That was part of your motion to get it.
Yeah, so it's funny, because if you are looking at these things being not fixed, then you would run into an issue, because your sash is basically being compromised by the intrusion of the pilaster capital. So if you did drop it down, it would make them less vertical again, and then you'd have like a little piece up at the top that was the width of that, and it actually, so just to continue, south elevation likely not visible, other breezeway demo no concerns, 1945, chimney demo not likely visible. That's it.
All right.
Not bad. If that dropping, I think it might be something we may have to do anyway.
Yeah, we're not going to have any functionality.
But
with
wouldn't
that.
the trim be extraordinarily deep then? Or would you put a little piece over it or something?
It's almost be like we're adding like a head casing, inset head, or just a head casing, and then the sash itself.
Right, so it'd be like a trimmed header that's not really structural, and then you'll butt your sash to it.
Because right now, Val, if you look at it,
Yeah.
pretend that that's a double hung.
Yeah.
The pilaster head thing is running right into the sash.
Right.
Which would mean it would have to be fixed.
Yeah.
And it would be compromised. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm happy to pursue that. Come back.
But let's go around and see if there's any other comments. Who wants to start?
I think we were, myself, I was fine with everything except for this arrangement with the window. So you're getting there. It's almost finesse to perfect. So
Sure.
I trust that you can come up with it, Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stephen?
Yeah, I'm with Val on that. I think you're just going to need to pay some special attention to your north and south elevations when you change that window detail, if you change them to double hungs, because they're much wider and you're gonna probably end up needing to put in some type of a wall.
Yep.
But I think you could be successful with that too.
John?
Yes, I find the north elevation on A23, I think the having the stairway enclosed a better way. What are they gonna put in this place to get to the third floor if they demolish it?
Where there, the stairs will be internal.
That's right.
The stairs will be inside the building. So we've added a second second means of egress inside the building as opposed to having it outside the building.
In the east elevation.
Here you go.
Is there a separation? No. Why are these windows
Yeah.
sunken?
Oh, there's a little deck there, I think.
Yeah,
What?
there's a deck on the back, yeah. Mostly for mechanicals.
Okay, so I think
Yeah.
that fixing that little head casing thing as per HSAT, that would do it for me for sure.
Do we need to see that?
I don't mind coming back.
Yeah.
We kind
Okay.
of planned for 3 visits anyways, then it'll give me an
Okay.
opportunity to maybe add some of the smaller.
Motion to hold for minor revisions.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
3, huh?
Just here. I could have gone. There's always a contingency for it.
Okay. Is this pronounced Hanneby?
Hanneby.
Yeah,
Hanneby.
Yeah. Have we seen this before?
Yeah.
It's the big monolithic building we didn't like.
It's big.
I don't remember. Hey, how are you? Good, how you doing? Welcome. Good to see you guys.
Yes, it is.
Aw.
This is Paul Coombs, Oliver, and Watterson.
Nope.
Yay.
We're not on this one, big guy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sergey
No, this
Chuan,
isn't the one I was thinking.
John Sullivan, 6 Canopy, Nantucket,
Oh, sorry.
Sergey Chumak, Sergeychumak. So Nantucket Marine bought this lot, and what we're doing is we're building employee housing. It's 4 one-bedroom apartments. So what do we change this? First of all, we brought it down a few feet, so now it's 31 feet. We broke the dormers. Used to be just one long dormer, now it's in 2 on each side. And he also moved the windows. Symmetrical windows.
See, over to one side.
Yeah. And they broke those dormers up so it doesn't look quite so much. So how do you do?
It's a CMI zoning. It allows to go up to 40 feet height. I know it's
No, it's only zoning wise,
Yep.
we do not have it
Sure.
up 40 feet, so
That's why we lowered it down.
that's right.
I think the changes are great.
Yeah, certainly.
The south and north are cattywampus anymore, and breaking up the dormers is certainly a good thing.
Can you remind me, what's the trim color?
Natural.
And
Natural with
the
the
sash or,
black windows.
okay, thanks. Okay, so Val, that was you.
I will.
Diane,
Yes, I appreciate it because before that west elevation made the building look like it was a 3-story building, which is not.
oh, with the big run-on dormer, yeah.
Yeah, the big one. How far are the roofs of the dormers down from the ridge line? Is it that by the foot or less? I don't know.
If you measure from the peak down diagonally along the slope, it's a foot.
Is it, okay. It's, other than that, it's a perfectly clean building.
Great, thank you, Diane. Oh, TJ, you're on.
Yeah, I like, Diane and Val appreciate these changes. One thing I'm noticing is maybe these shed dormers could be reduced in width by, maybe up to a foot. They seem little bit heavy on shingle space compared to the, windows.
You mean between the window and the cornerboard?
Well, it would be good if we brought the inside cheeks of the two dormers out to narrow the dormers a little bit, so increase the space between the two shed dormers.
You mean here?
Yeah, so if you brought these cheeks in like a foot each, I'd appreciate it anyway. It seems like a lot of
No, I think it's right.
shingle space to glass ratio is a little bit high.
I agree with you, I thought.
We don't have that floor plan, so we can't tell what
Well,
that
your
affects.
eye said it's just empty
Yeah.
upstairs.
Yeah, see, this is
What did you say?
a lot of space.
Your eye said it's empty space upstairs last night.
Oh, he did?
It's an attic.
Wow.
He wasn't saying he was brainless.
You guys okay with that? Sounds like you get an approval.
We okay with that?
As we gotta approve as we're at.
So what TJ is suggesting is on these dormers, just spread them a foot further apart.
You're not changing the size on it, you're just making them
Yeah,
wider?
No, just making
Changing
them
the size
foot
of foot
narrower.
narrower.
Bring each dormer in a foot, right?
Actually,
Yeah.
both sides?
No, not both sides.
Here.
Just bring the inside. in.
inside.
Right. You can maintain
So you
that
go a foot.
in a foot.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that channel now is going to become wider.
Right.
Got it?
Just make it proportioned.
You
a
guys
little
are
bit
good with
nicer.
that with me.
On each side of the new building?
Yeah. Yeah.
All the dormers should be.
Then they're all-
Both sets of dormers.
Not bigger, smaller,
Smaller.
right?
Smaller, correct.
Okay.
This
A
way.
foot
6
small.
inches each way.
Hey, TJ, was that your only comment, concern?
Actually, I'm gonna say just on the front, because the back looks a little bit better how it's lined up with the
What's the
fenestration.
front elevation?
So that's gonna be the west elevation.
Okay.
So make a motion.
So I'm gonna motion to approve through staff. You can just turn in the drawings, the corrected drawings to modify the west elevation shed dormers for the inside cheeks to be, or for the shed dormers to be narrowed by a foot, pushing the inside cheeks toward the gables,
Gable ends.
the gable ends.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thanks for the revisions, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, they
Big,
look good.
really good.
Big
changes.
difference.
Okay, 6 South Comet. Oh, so you were.
You doing right?
Oh, you didn't come up.
I'm good. You know, the meetings just aren't the same when you're not here. Bye, Paul.
Hi, Joe.
Welcome.
So no anything here tonight?
Pretty much. The most controversy we had with, were you sitting there for the whole winning?
I'm
Linda Williams.
the tail end of it.
I mean, that was. We're gonna find out in just a second.
Good night, TJ.
I got it. TJ, thanks a million.
It was a lot.
Thank you, Jay.
You know what I realized, Joe, when I was looking at this, because it was on our view list?
Don't know.
You're lucky. This is like the only lot that has a second dwelling out there. Probably because of septic stuff, but.
Cole, Coons, Oliver, and Welch.
Yeah, it's probably one of the only lots
Yeah.
that is, well, it's the largest lot out there.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
John, can you give that to,
Every other,
Yes, I can.
every other lot
Is undersized.
is undersized and gets 1,500 square feet.
Right.
This is one of the few lots where the lot percentage ratio works, but
Yeah.
where
It
everybody,
never occurred to me until now.
and I think they've had it for a good 20 years.
Oh, I remember that.
Here, let's see. That was pretty quick.
Okay. So this is the guest house, which you've reviewed before. You've approved the main house move on site. We went around and basically cleaned up some fenestration, lowered the height, changed the deck details to match what was approved on the main house. On the north elevation, we initiated our own massing change of this little gable. We just continued that as a shed. And we did add, there was a comment about adding windows to the dormers, and we actually got the plan to work to make those, to make two windows work in those dormers.
That's good.
So those are the changes all around there. And I just wanted to remind everybody that Val kind of started out by talking about this, but I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this in yellow is the lot. And this is where the guest house is going here. This is a this is a road that goes down to here as a paper road, but they essentially use it as their driveway from here on. There's nobody else on that street. They're in the process of trying to acquire that. But, so this is where the guest house is sitting. So I know that there's some fenestration on the first floor that came up at one point that is on the south. That faces, that's on this elevation here. And this house that's in front, the Applebee's, they've since enlarged it. It actually extends larger here. So we tried keeping the fenestration to a minimum on the second floor, and the first floor fenestration, I don't think you're going to see all that from the public way.
Is that Mattapoisett Ave?
You would, yeah, if you were, the south road is Mattapoisett, yes, you'd be looking, in fact, the way that site plan is set up, actually, that's the current house that's there. So this, yeah, that's the guest house. And yeah, you could, if you look through here, you could potentially catch that.
So what is the front, Joe? Where is the front door? Is it
There
west?
isn't, east, there isn't really a front door.
That's what drives me nuts. And
yeah.
that north that faces the road, it's like making me apoplectic. I don't know.
Yeah, the road doesn't.
Why can't you have a door on that?
The road doesn't go down that far, and it's really kind of a, we'll call it a cabana. It's going to function as an exercise area. It's going to function as an office.
It's not a house?
I mean, it will be a dwelling technically, but it definitely doesn't have a typical front door relationship to the street, that's for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't have a, I mean, I just point out for information to you, that if you look at the site plan, it's not like it has its own entryway, right? The driveway is here.
Yeah, it stops.
So this is like an extension of the living space in a way, as opposed to a separate dwelling, even though it is.
Yeah, well, before it was cattywampus. It was only one leaf door.
If there were to be a front door at all.
Yeah, and I didn't propose any fake doors on this particular one.
Okay, so,
I mean, it's
Val-
definitely a little unusual just in the context of Cisco in general, because you're used to smaller lots where the houses essentially fill the lot and they all kind of relate front door to the street in a lot of ways. There isn't a lot of building rotation happening in Cisco, there's a little. So this one actually just acts as a counterpoint to the main house, really.
did, any other concerns other than the,
I
Actually,
appreciate
you have-
changing the balustrade.
you actually have two things. One was the door, what was the other one? The first one you brought up, I can't remember what it was. That's it? Oh, okay.
I asked first what was the front door.
Anything else there, Robert?
No, it just is not a house. It's a house that's not a house. But I guess if they don't think they need a front door, then.
What does Diane think?
I think most houses out there
Have a front
have a front door, just because this is at the end of South by Comet. South by Comet. It is the official street down to that far. I think the north, south is the water.
Correct.
So north would be
It's
the other
blocked
way,
by-
so the west, east is,
East faces the main house.
yeah.
And that would actually be the main door that you would go through. It's a French door that you
Yeah.
access coming up from the pool. That's the door that they're gonna use all the time. The north faces, West Maya Comet.
Yeah, I don't know if it's some unusual house, I guess, that goes by. It disturbs me with that all the windows are mulled. It's on, say, the east elevation, and well, they all are west elevation. If it's a gym, I guess that's how you could look at it. If it doesn't have a front door, anything,
Yeah,
no living space in it. I mean,
there is that ground floor space has a somewhat modest kitchen. The first floor is wide open. They're planning on doing like Thanksgiving dinner there, but she has a Pilates machine that she's gonna pull out. She's gonna do yoga there, and
what
they're
about
gonna use the
second
bed.
floor?
The second floor is set up as 2 bedrooms. They're gonna use one of those bedrooms as an office, and one will be a guest bedroom. It'll officially be a 2-bedroom cottage, because it does have a stove, so technically speaking, it'll be a dwelling unit.
Yeah, because it has a John and the kitchen. Right?
Yeah, it does, and it has a washer and dryer in the basement. That's the plan. But that ground floor space is intended to be multi-purpose. They don't know how they'll use it,
Yeah.
actually. It's really kind of I hate to use the word pool cabana, because it's clearly not a pool cabana, but it'll probably end up servicing the pool if they're out in the yard. And I know it's a little bit of an anomaly because, like Val pointed out early on, it is probably one of the only guest houses out there because of the size of this property compared to all the other properties. It'll be heavily landscaped. I know that that's not necessarily a major criteria, but
I don't know when even the windows in the basement are mulled. Sometimes you get just too many. Or do they have to be mulled?
no, not at all. The second floor windows that face east those don't need to be mulled. The west second floor is actually French doors.
What the reverse? West
is mulled
windows.
and the.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm sorry. The east and west labels are missed. That's a mistake.
Well.
They are?
Yep.
On both?
Yep. Yeah.
In other words, this is the previous, and this is really east?
That is correct, yeah, that's, yeah.
If you could separate those small windows in the east, just a small amount,
So west faces on a condo.
yeah. It would help, it's just that usually we don't have quite so many mulled windows. The only places that aren't are the 4 windows that are on either side of the French doors. And it's gonna be seen, it's not, there's no way of hiding anything out there.
Yeah, I did unmold, there were mold windows on the east and west previously, which I reduced to singles, but yeah,
Yeah,
the second floor I did not change. And sorry about the label,
That's right.
the mislabeling. That balcony faces towards the open land versus towards.
Towards Summit Pond Road.
Yes, correct.
so that's just my opinion, but
But
I think-
Diane, I want to make sure, so, were you suggesting in terms of unmulling windows that the real east elevation that's labeled as west, on the second floor, those two would be pulled apart?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. And any other ones?
there isn't room. Because he's got the dormers and he's got 2 windows in there, and then on the,
You mean
They're
on the north?
separated.
yeah, they're
They
separated
do
a
have a
little
shingle
bit.
space between.
He's got all that roof space, it will just make it okay.
Well, the other thing I think of is on the south elevation, on the second floor, I've got a single door on the balcony flanked by windows.
Yeah.
That could get reduced to a French door, which would go from 9 feet of glass to 6 feet.
You mean a pair of French?
It would be
And
a pair.
nix those 2 windows.
Nix the 2 windows. It would
That
be-
would be good,
That's a
because
good
they're not very even, that would be good.
All right.
And these are under a
Well,
porch.
we have to
Yeah.
let Stephen opine. She hasn't had a chance.
So, Joe, what's the vernacular with the windows on the fenestration on the main house? Are those mostly mold? Are they not? Are we making changes to the way those read?
We're not making any changes to them.
I think what he meant was,
How does
are we
this
making
relate?
a dramatic departure from the vocabulary of these?
Yeah, no, I understand. This, I brought this of the main house just in case it came up. It's only the south elevation, but this was a French door that got approved as mold units. And everything else is kind of standalone, but this porch that comes off the west end, so you've got the porch, the pool, the guest house, has a series of mold units. There's 3 plus 2, and on the other side, it's 2, 2, and a door. And then the end of this is open. And that's previously approved like 12 years ago.
Okay, so there's not a tremendous amount of mold. What's going on your second floor there? That's got a French door and then the flankers are windows? Or-
Yeah, those are 4/4s. That's all existing. So yeah, that's the second floor facing the water.
Okay. Okay, so I guess no additional comments on any of those things, except for I'm not as concerned about the door. I mean, this doesn't address a street. It doesn't address a parking area. I think typically, though, that is an important element, obviously, of a structure. But this is almost the house that's a non-house that's a pool, cabana, gym, extra guest space.
Would you say the south is more than 50% glass?
That's only accessible from the pool area.
Yeah.
And as I said, the previous comments on the glass were that we're going to make changes on the south, correct?
Well, I'm going to make changes on the second floor.
Of the east.
Well, there's the second floor east mall, but then on the south elevation, on the second
He's gonna
floor,
take that window.
I was going to make that a French door versus a door flanked by 2 windows.
Yeah.
On the first floor, at the moment, I haven't mentioned any changes.
Yeah, the second floor I think would be helpful.
Yeah.
Those are reasonable changes.
Okay.
All right. John, unfortunately, sir, you are not on this.
Oh, I didn't know, okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're on it.
Oh, no, John, I'm so sorry. I didn't write you down. You're on it.
I don't have them on it.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, that's why I didn't write them down.
Yeah. We do it.
Hang on.
The latest one for me.
There's one.
This is proposed.
That was
So he is, or
That
he
we
is?
changed to a single, no,
Oh, they did, okay.
it is,
My bad.
there is,
Okay,
there is
my
a
mistake.
fact.
Okay, hey, John, so you're actually not on it, I guess you had missed a meeting or something.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so,
can I
Thank you.
make a motion to approve with the west elevation windows on the second floor separated and,
sorry, that's the east elevation.
east elevation.
Yeah.
And
It's
on the south
mislabeled as the west elevation.
No,
yeah,
it's really the west that faces Summit Pond Road.
Well, I
You
think
have it labeled as east.
perhaps more important, Joe, are you gonna change both? Is the gable treatment on both sides is the same?
No.
One
because
side's a
is
French door.
Oh, one's French.
Yeah.
And that's the side that faces Summit Pond Road, which is
Gotcha.
west.
and plus, on the south elevation, we're going to change the door and the windows to a French door. That's
I
my
would
motion.
just as point of clarification, I would say a pair of French doors,
Okay,
just so that we know there's two.
here, I'll write that down.
Yeah. Yeah, I always consider French doors for some reason to be two doors, and if you say a pair, I think of
Well,
four.
I consider French doors to be all glass, and if you have a pair of them, you have a pair.
No, I think you're right.
I was instructed the way you do it, but then what do you call the single one? It's-
Right, no, I need to shift my
French.
understanding of it.
Okay. Yes, John?
First I'm on it, and then I'm not, then I am. What's the story? What are the facts?
Just the facts,
The
ma'am.
fact-
You said there's a misdemeanor
He's
somewhere.
not.
The facts are, we decided that you shouldn't be on it.
You're out of here.
Yeah, you're out of here.
So that's my motion.
Okay,
Aye.
good
Aye.
motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's great. So Lisa's not here. She's.
Motion to hold 19 and 20 for
Thank you.
representation.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we want to approve May 14 with the usual, I'm gonna guess you want to review those.
I'll abstain. I don't know if I reviewed those or not.
All
I'll just
right, well,
abstain.
That's safe. So can somebody make a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Approve the minutes of May 14th. That's Diane's motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anything more to discuss at the moment on Vineyard Wind or synthetic materials?
I just wanna, we're waiting for samples, right?
Well, no, what we're actually doing, you're obviously talking about synthetic materials.
Mhm.
That was, I believe, your suggestion.
Yeah,
To get the Builders Association to put together a
right.
presentation for us.
So
they
for
said
now, that's on hold.
They said they would. I should just contact them and see whether,
Right.
because I don't want it to linger. Yeah,
I have a comment on that.
you sure?
Synthetic material,
Yes.
it's just very hard, for me to stay old-fashioned minded, you know, when something like this comes out. But the point is, if it was ever a question, there was a court case on it, if actually, look, I'm not gonna do that, I want this. And you've approved synthetic somewhere else, and then all this other room, you get an appeal. Then I hate to think that, you know, that you get an appeal and some judge says, well, if you can't see it, it's painted over, you don't know what it is. You know, I hate to see that happen to this commission.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, you know, John, that's a really good point. And so what we want to see first is we're going to have the Builders Association so that they're objective, you know, so that they're not trying to sell us a product. They're just going to show us what's available, all different types of stuff. And then we'll be able to ask them questions about, you know, how well it holds up and, you know, what it's made of and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So I think we just got to see what's out there before we.
You're gonna make a presentation to
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
That would be good.
Yeah. So I'll get in touch with that guy again tomorrow and just see what he's up to. Hey, the schedule was submitted. Did we vote
We
on that?
voted it last week.
Oh, we didn't vote it? Okay. Do we want to vote it now or? has anyone had a chance for?
Well, I thought we did vote it.
I did too.
So let's vote it through and people can look at it,
Well,
and if you want to amend
Unless you
it.
guys, who, I don't think either one of the two of you were here when that got sent around.
I saw it, but I didn't review it. I just figured John knows what he's doing with the schedule. If there's anything that's out of the ordinary, he would tell us and we would.
And
But
it
you
wouldn't-
weren't here was, I think, the
I was
problem.
not, yeah, Kathy
Yes.
was here.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time we revised the schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing is if you want to vote to take which traditionally in my experience, years of experience you have is 4th of July week, we've not met that week during the 4th of July.
I think that's patriotic.
Yeah. Is that new business or old business? Would it have ordinarily been this time?
It would land on an old business,
Okay.
but, so those things happen when you take a meeting off, sometimes they build up,
Right.
sometimes they don't.
Yep.
And then the other one is Labor Day, the week of Labor Day, that's always been
I think that's fair to us.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hardworking,
Yeah.
Tuesday is our Labor Day.
for unpaid volunteers who, and is there anything in there about an organizational meeting?
There is nothing on there.
Isn't it typically when there's 5 Tuesdays? So is there,
That was kind of the tradition
Yeah.
that sort of fell by the wayside.
I'll look at it and maybe see if we can sneak, I'd like to have one.
Good idea. So,
No,
should we
that-
just hold off from
Yes.
voting anything just now?
I guess we can just,
I'd like to, if we come across it, is, to be on the sidewalk thing.
Well, that's, Little Bluebird kind of told me that maybe that
There
was
you
the
go.
case. So we wanted to hold that discussion until you came back.
You go, girl.
So, just so you know, we, 2 members of our advisory board already are there.
Good.
One being Mickey Rowland, because he's wearing 2 hats. He's wearing his historic hat, but he's also wearing his accessibility hat.
Mhm.
And the other person, of course, is Michael May, who's also wearing 2 hats, because he's on the advisory board, but he's also the preservation.
He's retiring.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
when is he
He's
retiring?
the 1st of July,
Oh,
and
that's
he's
quick.
going to
He bought a house.
Pennsylvania in a town beginning with a B, by Brookfield,
And he's gonna restore an old house.
Oh,
an
cool.
old house barn. His wife is there.
Wonder if it's in Bucks County.
Yes,
Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful
And-
area.
he will split his time between here and there.
Cool.
He will come back and do guidance that needs to be done, but he will technically be retired.
So maybe that changes the calculus. I was also thinking it might be beneficial to have someone from the commission, Diane has expressed an interest, I guess, who is focused on how this relates to the HDC process. Because I recall from the public hearing the select board had, the concept was, and then we did a test case, was to try and develop some type of a process. And I think that what they're working on now is more the materials, and it's more specific to the project versus the overall, how does this work in the future? And it might be beneficial to have one of our members who's present, who's discussing that type of, that aspect of it.
I'm very pleased to get along.
Yes.
Well, so the idea, you probably already know this, but I'm just saying, the idea is that they have these meetings very regularly. And I think they might even be weekly.
Every Monday.
Every Monday, and some of them relate to Upper Maine, some of them relate to other areas that would be of concern to the ATC. So your function would be to be our eyes and ears at those meetings and both express the point of view of the HCC, but also come back to our board, and if there's something that's important for us to know about, to review,
Or to have it.
you could have it put on as other business, and then we can, then we can review it as a group. So that would be the,
Yeah,
If they're meeting that frequently, sorry, Chuck, go ahead.
I don't think they're meeting that frequently on subjects that we can
yeah.
get into. I will have them let me know when something comes up at the
It's not always about Upper Main Street.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
was just gonna suggest if they're meeting that frequently, maybe we just have an ongoing other business like we do with the Vineyard Wind Project.
But what a great
For
idea.
sidewalks.
Yeah,
Because then that way, we don't have to wait. If you've got something that you want to bring up,
That's a fabulous idea. Okay, so John, we'll just, sorry, this John. Let's just keep that on the agenda as other business, sort of as a permanent, in case anybody needs to say something. Okay, yes, John.
In my opinion, the reason why I mentioned it last week, that what I find the most qualified even on this board, right, would be Jesse. That's his field of work, that's his life living. Any of that cement work, brick, everything, you know.
Well,
He doesn't have time.
yeah,
Let me keep going.
okay.
You know, and I think he's well qualified. I don't think you're getting two from the preservation people.
Yeah,
Should be one, not two. Just tell them that's it. You get too many people on a board, on a advisory board. You know, it's like the hospital. Hospital, 21 people on the board, and they can't make up their mind on anything.
well,
You know?
John, the only reason there's two is because both of them are actually coming from other things. Michael May is coming from the Historical Association. Mickey Rowland is coming from the Accessibility Board. Now, those two people also just so happen to be members of our advisory board. So that's the only reason there's two of them there. But anyway, so Jesse knows about it, and Diane, I think it would be great if you could, do
I'll
it.
be
And
in touch.
then if anything relates to landscape, because Jesse was unwilling to commit to a weekly obligation.
so, John, it might, if Diane is our appointee, our representative, she can always bring up questions like that for Jesse's expertise, because it's gonna be on our weekly agenda. But Jesse's too busy to commit to the weekly meetings, supplemental meetings, to get involved in this. So that would give him an opportunity to be involved, but Diane would be our regular representative.
Oh, I didn't know Diane wanted it.
Yeah,
Oh, nobody said that to me.
she just mentioned it. She just mentioned it.
Okay.
She just kicked me under the
She's
table.
getting paid handsomely.
while I think of it quickly, and you may have heard, if Leslie Johnson called me up,
Oh, yes, yeah.
and the front of, what is it, 81
The
Main
one,
Street, corner Pine and Main, they took the steps up or something, and they took the antique slate off the street. And these are workmen on the house, this is not DPW employees, they reset the bricks, and they put in brand new straight edge, chop, chop, cut, cut, slate. And they have the pile of the old slate to the side. Now, this never came up, I don't believe, when we talked to the guy
Brian Pfeiffer?
about what was going to happen there. And she called me, didn't she call you?
Yeah. Everybody.
Is Brian
She
working on
called you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's his baby.
And I
Seems
can't
very
see him,
contrarian to have him?
that's why I said, I can't see him saying that's okay, so.
In
I would-
fact, I had heard, excuse me for interrupting, but the DPW is out starting to do something or suggesting they were gonna take it up, and he said, no way, like, I'm gonna do it.
So
And-
that's why I think there's some misunderstanding about what's happened.
Yeah.
I think it's probably okay.
Well, she took
There
a
are so many
picture of
eyes
it,
on that thing right now.
that, and it showed the picture of the new slate in and the old slate in a pile. She took a picture of it. Did she send
So
you a
John, do you
picture?
have anything to
So
report?
I went down there and I saw, I talked to Brian, I talked to the DPW. I told Brian for now to save all the old stones right now, to save them. Stockpile them somewhere, bring them to my house.
But is the rumor true?
But yeah, no, so they have taken up, it's kind of hard to tell which ones are the old ones and which ones are the new ones. There are definitely some saw cut ones that are like straight edge. But I recommend going down there and seeing it. They're all set in sand, so there's no mortar joints or anything like that. I was a little surprised at the amount of that was actually stockpiled there. In my talks with Brian, he definitely knew that there were a lot of broken pieces there.
They weren't broken before they came out. Why they did it down at the Macy warehouse? Why do we say what it should look like, and then they do whatever they want to do, and it stays that way?
Well, I definitely think there were a lot of broken pieces. I mean, he has it all documented. He's going to send it to me. That was the other part of it that I told him.
She sent me a picture.
He has pictures before they did all the work.
Right.
He has the quarry where they got
But when
the
they
new rocks from.
pry it up, then it breaks. I mean, you hit it with a sledgehammer, it breaks too.
So this goes to the concern and the point that I was hoping we get to with this process with the town, is that this is what I would consider one of those contributing type sidewalk,
Absolutely.
So it's significant, and that someone would actually turn in a set of drawings on a project of this significance, as opposed to, let's use, for example, the Washington Street in front of the American Legion, where they came in, they showed us a bunch of pictures, we've all been there, we've looked at it, we made recommendations. This would actually be a higher level application, and whomever it was, the owner of the town, would submit a set of drawings that document the existing conditions, that tell us where they're getting their replacement materials so that we know that they're consistent, that talks about the grout space between the stones. I mean, just hearing what Diane's reporting, I'm shocked, like that Brian, but then I'm also thankful that you had a chance to speak to him, because it sounds like maybe there's some additional information that Diane wasn't able to get because she didn't have a chance to speak to Brian, where he's documented this. But
he hasn't, because he sat right there, and he's the guy we talked about, the 100-foot fence going down on Pine Street. He never mentioned doing anything to the front of the house, never.
Okay, so
it was done without an application.
My point is simply that I know that he stood up and spoke at the select board hearing, and he talked about the type of thing I'm talking about. And I just think it's important that we articulate concerns to people while these things are happening, so we can prevent them from happening in the future.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like that, back when the not the initial presentation, but one of the early presentations about the whole Upper Main Street thing, focused on that particular sidewalk, and his name escaped me. Why is it, the guy, DPW guy?
Rob McNeil.
Yeah, he said that area is going to be our first area. That's going to be our test kitchen.
Right.
And so this is the test kitchen in progress. So it'd be interesting to see who's doing what there, because I certainly don't know.
So another part of it, which came up, they rebuilt the whole front staircase at 86 Main. It's a custom staircase.
He mentioned that though.
Yeah, it has a curved entryway. So back when discussions were happening about March or so, as that was going to be kind of the test site of the new stones and everything done by the DPW, I said, well, maybe you want to coordinate, because you have this nice new custom-made front stoop coming in, and you're obviously have to disturb some of the stones around there to get this work done. So, and then things kind of got put on hold with the DPW doing any work. I knew this front stoop came in. But then I was surprised to find out that, they had gone ahead and done all the stonework, so I wasn't sure I didn't know that was gonna happen.
Right, so did we review an application specific to the front stoop being replaced?
Yes.
We did, and we approved it as
Yeah.
HCC?
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't recall, so I'm asking.
That was part of Luke's initial package.
Brian came back,
Oh,
yeah,
maybe I missed
maybe a
that.
year ago or something like that.
So, I mean, look, I know I'm stating the obvious, but if we're telling the town that they need to come to us to review these things and get approval, we should be, like, there should be a letter that goes out to them, that official, that says this should have been reviewed, it should have been approved, it wasn't. You need to come in and backfill the documentation and
Right.
make a presentation and explain to us.
You shouldn't have
So that we're getting
But who's that
process.
getting addressed to?
Yeah, because we don't
Well, the
know
homeowner.
who did it.
Okay,
Yeah.
then we agree, because this sounds like it was the homeowner as opposed to DPW.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying, is
The
if we're,
DPW
we need to be
is
consistent
not
in what
doing-
standard we're, right, we're gonna need to be consistent.
Yeah.
If we wanna hold someone to a standard, we
Oh,
gotta
I
hold
see.
everyone to a
You're
standard.
saying, well, we've been grilling the DPW
Right,
about
like-
this, and now the homeowner comes in and does it. It's
And
like-
then there's a
Yeah.
complaint about it, and which
Okay.
just shocks me, because.
So it would be really great, you said you've already spoken with Brian, but,
Yes.
I mean, hopefully in a somewhat amicable way, that he would just come in and explain the process to us, to know what we're in for the rest of Upper Main Street.
Well, I would say, if I may, I would suggest, and I'm not suggesting that anything that's not amicable when we say an official letter. It doesn't have to be a, finger pointing exercise, or you're guilty of something, but I do think it's important that is an institution where institutionalizing this process. And the process is that someone made changes to architectural elements that are under the HDC review, and they need to come in with in this instance, it's a hardscape set, right? And they need to come in and present what it is that was there, and what it is they changed, and what materials they used, and so on and so forth. Obviously it's kind of an exercise. It's somewhat academic at this point, but I think it's important that we do it.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Well, I'd love to know what's going on. I'd love to hear
Yeah.
somebody explain, like, oh, the stone is so brittle that you touch it and it cracks.
Yeah, let's still,
It'd be nice to know that.
yeah, I agree.
Yes, John.
stone age.
We're on the subject, I got a thought ahead. On my back from Jesse, I don't think I was wrong, but what I want to do.
No, we all agree with that, John.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that the quicker we get that committee formed as best they can, and get some of our people on it, we'll say, using that word. Yeah, I think next week, I think from what I understood of what Jesse was saying,
Hey, John,
Hey.
can we do one thing before Diane leaves? Can we officially vote her in?
Yeah, let's.
I mean,
So
that's where this discussion started.
So I'll make a motion that Diane be the HCC Commissioner's representative to the town sidewalk, Nantucket Sidewalk Work Group.
let me finish before we go forward.
Well, she's leaving, so we're trying to make a recommendation.
Give me less than a minute. I got thinking that the way Jesse was saying about, well, maybe, I think he's got too much to do, I found out.
Yes.
So, and
Well,
I
he's
was
got
gonna
young
make
kids.
the motion next week, but I'm all for Diane.
Oh, okay.
In that case.
Well, but that
Thank
doesn't
you
mean
very much,
Jesse's out.
everybody. I worked very well at Jesse a lot. He
Okay,
is right there, and so that's good. And I will speak to Rob and see when the meeting's going to be, and have him let us know when it does involve something that the HDC can speak about.
right. Okay, so there,
If you get the chance, would you make your own policy, all bricks are red
Yes,
thing?
no yellow bricks.
Well, there's a couple around,
All
you
right.
can see them, they're purple.
yeah, all those in favor of Stephen's motion to appoint Diane as our liaison to the Nantucket Sidewalk Work Group?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Diane, you're in.
Motion
Thank
adjourned,
you.
7:06.
Well, just one other small thing. Sorry, John. know we're eager to make this a nice short night. We're almost there. This has to do with, I know Stephen was on it, I know I was on it, but I don't know who the rest of the board was.
Yeah.
I tried to look at the video link, it brought up my calendar, it was like some Bulgarian virus or something, I didn't, like, Eastern
I
European
couldn't
bloc.
figure out what it was referring to.
Okay,
I
so
thought I
you're-
was gonna click on something and nothing happened.
Yeah, that's what mine brought up a calendar. The link.
Yeah, sorry, I segued. So what we're discussing right now is on India Street,
I remember this.
Doug came in for a little cottage in the back, and he had either a single or a double sort of barn door arrangement, and he showed it closed, and he showed it open. And when it was open, it was just a single pane of glass, just wide open. And then someone said, well, it's in town, so that single pane of glass should have muttons in it. And so one of the stipulations was that there was, a certain light configuration to this single pane of glass. And then what Doug contends, and honestly don't remember, is either you, Stephen, or I said, oh, and there's going to be a stipulation that the doors will be closed in perpetuity. And he said it was done in a joking way, but somehow it made it in.
Actually, I did say that, and Kathy and I have not recently, but we laughed about it because it picked up on our not visible at time of inspection and thereafter. And we kind of made a little bit of joke about it after the meeting, when I saw her shortly after the meeting that this occurred. I ran into Kathy at the office and we kind of giggled about it because she said that was pretty funny and so on and so forth. So it was, I don't know if I actually said it out loud, but I'm pretty sure, I think I was the one who said it and I was joking about it.
I heard you.
Okay.
I don't recall, this is why we should review motions in minutes.
Yeah. So Doug contends, and he's like, I was sitting there and I know it was meant as a joke as opposed to an actual condition, but I think somebody might have been writing it in and, wrote it in as a condition.
Oh.
Well, but from what I remember, I think we were pretty serious about not wanting it to be wide open with French doors.
Oh, I remember joking
It's such
about
an
it.
anomaly in that part of town to have that thing open and facing, what is it, India Street?
Would face India.
Yeah.
So were you not able to view the link then?
No. Sorry. No, mine it was like a little virus. It was like it brought up, it brought up like something else on my computer when I clicked it.
Uh-oh.
And then I couldn't get it to do anything.
Malware.
Okay.
It brought up like a calendar that I don't even use software. And I was like, that's weird. And then I tried to click it. That was on my tablet. And then I tried to, there was no link at all in my email and Outlook.
So, John, you can see it on your computer.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll just come in and watch on your.
Well, do you know who made the comment? Was it me or was it Red?
I think you said it.
Then I was joking
I
around.
think you kind of included it,
Yeah.
on top of something.
Well, so why did this come up? Has a neighbor complained or?
Yes.
Well, someone of the public noticed it and said, what's this? And I read the approval and it said garage doors to be closed in perpetuity, so I sent the violation notice saying you're not complying with the approval of COA 7124.
I honestly think that we would not have approved it with French doors like that.
Can I just simply ask that you send the link?
Yep.
I'll look. I'll know if I was joking around or not. Maybe I'm misremembering something. But
John heard it.
yeah. And then we'll get it squared away next Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll send the link. I'll send actually the approval and all the information. I got to double check who was actually sitting on the.
It would be good to know who the board was because, if Val, maybe it was like certain people saw it as a joke and other people saw it as serious.
Right.
And then it's like, well, the reason I voted yes for that was because of that comment.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Right.
Yeah. No,
So-
I'm not discounting your
Right.
concern.
No,
So,
we'll see.
I'll try and send that out tomorrow, and if you can reply to me and just say,
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I won't actually be here Thursday, so,
Me either.
that I want you to, so I will respond to you via email though. And you can, please forward a copy to Val, because I don't want to open the meeting tomorrow.
I already made the motion.
Did you make your motion, Sue? 7-11, not too bad. So John has just made a motion. Mhm.
We now have a proper motion to adjourn.
John
Yeah,
has
your
made a
motion
motion to adjourn at 7-11.
I'd like to make a
All those in
motion.
favor?
Aye, to thank Val for the Twizzlers.
Oh, yes. We should have recognized that.
Yes. Do you want that paper back?
Okay.
You should.
Oh, that
I'm falling
Val
apart.
bringing the,
Yeah, you're doing fine.
Oh,
her
I,
goodies.
my